On September 25th, 1981, 51-year-old Sandra Day O'Connor is sworn in as the first female U.S. Supreme Court Justice. Sandra Day was born in El Paso, Texas in 1930 and grew up on a cattle ranch near Duncan, Arizona. At age 16, she enrolled at Stanford University and graduated 3 years later in economics. She earned her law degree from Stanford at just age 22. In 1973, as a member of the Arizona State Senate, O'Connor became the first woman to serve as majority leader in any U.S. state's legislature. In 1979, she was appointed as a judge in the Maricopa County Superior Court and was elevated to the state's Court of Appeals in 1979. During his 1980 campaign for president, former California Governor Ronald Reagan made a promise to appoint the first woman to the U.S. Supreme Court. Associate Supreme Court Justice Potter Stewart announced his retirement in June 1981. Reagan announced his plans to nominate O'Connor to the High Court a few weeks later. Although she initially faced some opposition from conservative groups and lawmakers over fears that she may be unwilling to overturn Roe v. Wade, her confirmation hearings in the U.S. Senate went relatively smoothly. She was confirmed in a 99-0 vote on September 21, 1991. Max Baucus of Montana was the only senator who missed the vote. To apologize, he sent O'Connor a copy of the book A River Runs Through It. O'Connor said she felt a responsibility to demonstrate that a woman could do the job of a Supreme Court justice, and she did face some practical challenges, like the fact that there was no women's restroom near the courtroom in 1981. In 1983, the New York Times published an editorial that mentioned the 9 men of SCOTUS, an acronym for the Supreme Court of the United States. In response, O'Connor sent a letter to the editor reminding the newspaper that the court was no longer 9 men. In the letter, she referred to herself as FWOTSC, meaning First Woman on the Supreme Court. When Ruth Bader Ginsburg became the second woman on the High Court in 1993, O'Connor said she felt relief at no longer being the only female justice. O'Connor served on the U.S. Supreme Court for over 24 years. Although a part of the court's conservative wing, she was often the swing vote on a high court that was closely divided between liberals and conservatives during her tenure. O'Connor retired from the Supreme Court in 2006 at age 75 during the presidency of George W. Bush. He replaced her with staunch conservative Samuel Alito. The federal courthouse in Phoenix that was built in the year 2000 was named in O'Connor's honor and features a statue of the Arizona icon. In 2009, U.S. President Barack Obama awarded her the Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor. In 2020, the Arizona legislature established September 25th of each year as Sandra Day O'Connor's Civics Education Day, requiring each public school to dedicate the day to civics education. Sandra Day O'Connor died in Phoenix in 2023 at age 93. Here are other events that happened today in history. In 1237, the Treaty of York sets the England-Scotland border that remains nearly unchanged today. In 1513, Spanish explorer Balboa reaches the Pacific after having crossed the Isthmus of Panama. In 1775, Vermont patriot Ethan Allen is captured by the British and spends the next 3 years in prison. In 1789, the first U.S. Congress passes 10 constitutional amendments now known as the Bill of Rights. In 1957, under U.S. Army escort, 9 black students integrate Little Rock Central High in Arkansas. In 1978, an airliner and a small plane collide over San Diego, killing 135 on board and 7 on the ground. In 1980, Led Zeppelin drummer John Bonham dies at age 32 after a night of heavy drinking. And now it's time for our Today in History quiz. Who struck the Parthenon in Athens with a shell in 1687, severely damaging the structure? The Ottomans, the Russians, the Venetians, or the Austrians? Think you know the answer? Drop your guesses in the comments below. Find out if you're right next time on Today in History. You made it through Today in History. Nice work. Now treat yourself. Click the video on the right for what happened yesterday in history. Still can't get enough? The link on the left's got the whole playlist buffet. Want to make history a daily habit? Click my face in the middle to subscribe.